everyone, it's Annie, and today I am so excited to do this video. It is my 1,000 subscriber special. Oh, I'm so excited. I cannot believe that 1,000 people want to watch me talk about books. What? It's crazy. I can't believe it. This is seriously like a dream. I am so thankful to all of you. Thank you so much, all of you, for subscribing and always leaving such amazing comments, and just, I love this so much. I am so thankful that I have BookTube, and it's one of the best parts of my life, honestly. I love it so much, and thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. So today I am doing a Q&A video and also a little bit of a shout out to my favorite booktubers afterwards, so keep watching for that. So first, let's go and see the questions that I got from Twitter. First, we have from Coffee Over Apples, who is a great booktuber. You should check her out. I'll link all of the booktubers I talk about in this video down below, by the way. First question, what is your favorite video that you've made so far? I have to say I really liked my Trans Day of Visibility video. I put in a lot of work into that because I realized I had the idea for making the video, and I then realized that I hadn't really read as many books by trans authors as I would have liked in order to give my opinions fully and just talk about them from an informed stance, you know? So I spent the week leading up reading like 6 or 7 books by trans authors just for that video, and it was a whole lot of fun, but a lot of work, and I really like how it turned out. I think also I really liked how the thumbnail turned out, if I do say so myself, and I really liked that video, and I hope you guys do too. And another video I really liked is my Women's Prize for Fiction vlog, where I read the entire shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction. That video was also a ton of work. That's probably the most work I've ever put into a video because I started filming that video before the official shortlist was announced. So I had to kind of guess which books I thought would be on the shortlist so that I could upload the video in a timely manner so that like people would still be interested and click on it about the Women's Prize shortlist. So I ended up reading a lot of books in a very short span of time, and some of the books didn't even end up on the shortlist. But I had a whole lot of fun. I read a lot of books that I never would have picked up otherwise if they weren't for the Women's Prize, and I read some of my favorites ever that I've read this year so far. And I also love this thumbnail. I think this is my favorite thumbnail I've made. And her next question is, if I could redo a video, which one would it be? And I thought long and hard about this, but I think it would be my 20 best books of 2020 video. First of all, 20 is too many books, but at the time I just couldn't decide. But now if I watch it again, I know that some of those books I put on there didn't really last as favorites of the year, if you know what I mean. Like, I really liked them at the time that I read them, but they didn't have lasting staying power as favorites. So I think if I were to look back at my 2020 reading now, I would choose different or just less favorite books. And then also from Twitter, we have 4 questions from Slanted Spines. Thank you very much for sending your questions. You have really fun questions. First is, what is my favorite type of sandwich? I like this question. It would probably be a bagel with salmon lox, cream cheese, capers, and red onions. The quintessential New York deli sandwich. I miss it so much because I love it. I love it so much. One of my first things I'd love to do when I go back to New York is go to the deli and get one of those sandwiches because, gosh, I need one. And then you said, what's your favorite way to celebrate your birthday? Well, it's funny you should ask because my birthday is very soon. It's June 22nd, and I don't know. I don't like big parties. I just want to say that. I don't like a lot of people in one small space. especially right now, but you know what I mean, just in general. And I don't like, going out and having a big hullabaloo. I kind of get nervous about it. I don't like it. I like having a small gathering and just spending time with the few people I like and just having a really chill day. I like my birthday, I always take off, and I like my birthday to just be as stress-free as possible. And I also like to eat my favorite desserts. This year I am making myself a blueberry crumb cake, one of my favorite things I make, and I can't wait to eat it. And I love eating and food, so I'm really focused on what my meals are going to be for my birthday. And I love pizza, so I'm probably going to get some pizza from like the more upscale, rustic pizza place that I normally don't get because they're a little pricey, but I'm going to treat myself on my birthday. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe I want for my birthday. And then she asks, if I had to get a book tattooed on me, which book would I choose? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by, like, do you mean the cover? Because I wouldn't want a book cover tattooed on me. I don't want anything tattooed on me, let's just say that first as a disclaimer, but I would really love a quote from Pride and Prejudice because that's one of my favorite books, and it's quite timeless, and I love Pride and Prejudice so much, so I would love a quote from that. And then she asked, what is a book that I read that was very formative as a child for me? And I'm glad you asked this question because as I am moving back into my childhood home soon, I am planning on making a video about all of my childhood favorites because I think I may still have some of the physical copies at my house. So let's hope for that. And I am really looking forward to talking with you all about my favorite childhood books. But I wanted to mention two here. First would be Artemis Fowl. I loved this series, like, probably a little bit to an unhealthy extent. I loved Artemis. Like, I wanted to be him. I loved this series. Like, I carried around the books at school, and I loved them so much. I was obsessed. And also, I want to choose something that I haven't really seen anyone talk about on BookTube. That would be Kissing Doorknobs. It was written in 1998, so it's a little bit old, a little bit outdated, but at the time when I read it, I really loved it, and I rated it 5 stars, and that's still what the rating is on my Goodreads. This is about a middle school girl with OCD, and that is definitely very important to me. And it's a middle grade book, and I thought it was great. It's a really, really accurate portrayal of OCD, and it was very formative for me. So I recommend you read it if you're looking for a good book with OCD rep. And then Stephanie from Stephanie Bookish, which I will link also, I promise. She asked, what are my hobbies outside of books? Which is a good question. I may have talked a little bit about some of these in some of my other videos, but let's just put them all together. I love art, and I do draw portraits. I actually have one. Give me a second. Okay, I have this portrait, hopefully it's showing up well, of John Lennon that I drew. I also have some others which I have shown in other videos, but it's just pencil and charcoal, and I just really like doing realistic portraits. This portrait I did 2 years ago, and I haven't done any since just because they're so detailed and very labor intensive, so it takes a lot of time and energy, and I have to really, really like the subject I'm drawing, otherwise I get bored and just don't finish because I'm staring at them constantly, you know what I mean? So I like doing that. I love writing. As I've mentioned in another video, I am currently writing a space opera, and it is so exciting for me. I have always loved writing from when I was a kid, and I've always, started book ideas and then not done anything with them or, written 30,000 words and then stopped and I didn't care about the idea anymore. But this idea is, I don't want to say it's really good, but I like it. I like this idea a lot. It's my favorite I've had so far, and I just love writing. It's just, it can be frustrating, but it's just so much fun to create. And I love being creative because I'm a creative person. And also one of my other biggest hobbies is cooking and baking. I love it so much. I love creating new ideas and kind of mismatching or mix and matching different dishes with another dish and making something new. And I love baking. And I also love fermentation, so I like making my own kombucha, and I like making kimchi and tepache and all those kind of bubbly things that are so fun and healthy. And another hobby would be yoga and just walking. I like to take walks. It's relaxing. And I do those types of exercises because I injured my knee during my last year of high school or something, and it's hard for me to do really intense exercise or running because it aggravates my knee. So yoga and walking have really been the things that I always tend to go back to because they don't hurt. And it's still good, it's still exercise. Oh, I do really like gardening. I get that from my mom. I have some indoor plants, which you may have seen in my apartment tour, but I also have a little garden, and at my parents' house we have a big garden, and I really just love, seeing all the things grow. And I love growing vegetables especially because it's so fun and you get to eat the stuff you grow. That's awesome. I love it. Then she asked, how has my reading taste changed? Well, actually, I do think that it has changed quite a lot over the years. I was never really a big nonfiction reader until about maybe halfway through college, so maybe 5 years ago. And I've never looked back. I love nonfiction now. It's one of my favorite genres to read, and it's something that I also share with my mom, so we have a lot of things in common about the books we read. And I think my tastes in terms of fantasy have changed as well. As a kid, I really liked any book if it was fantasy, and now I am very picky. If the fantasy isn't super unique, then I usually don't like it. So that's definitely something. And I mean, of course, moving from YA to adult, but honestly, I still enjoy some YA books. It just depends. And I think the biggest change was moving towards nonfiction a little bit more. And then her last question is, what is a book that was pivotal to me being a reader? Now, I take this question a little bit differently from Slanted Spine's question about my childhood favorite. I see this question as what made me love reading. And I want to stress that my dad read to me every single night when I was a kid, like a child, so from when I was very small and when I couldn't even read myself. He read me tirelessly. He's very patient. Thank you, Dad. He read to me every single night books. We had this big book of fairy tales. We read a lot of Dr. Seuss, all kinds of things like that. And that time, I mean, I don't have kids, but if I were to give parenting advice, this is one thing I would have to say. Reading to your children is so important. And that time that me and my dad spent together, him reading to me, was so important to me. And it was something that I looked forward to, and it was so fun that it made reading something fun in my head. Whereas a lot of kids grow up without that, and they're taught that, reading books is for school, and, if you don't do exactly what the teacher wants you to do, you're not reading it right or something, and it's just not fun for them. And that's not what reading started out as for me, so I always associated reading with fun. And I think that was really, really pivotal for me to become a big reader like I am today. Now let's go to Instagram. Noelle 7 pages. Thank you, Noelle. She asked, what's your favorite part of BookTube? I have a lot of favorite parts. Saying the community is really cliche, but I do really love the people here. And if I were to say my favorite part of like making videos for BookTube, I would have to say making the thumbnails. It's something I never expected to love so much, but it really allows me to be super creative and just try new things. So it's really important for me to try and make my thumbnails as eye-catching as possible. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't, but I just really love it. And I use my iPad, I use Procreate and Canva to make those, and it's so much fun, and it's just some of the most relaxing parts of BookTube for me. And then she asked, which book would you force on your worst enemy? I don't know. That's a good question. I honestly probably Lord of the Flies. This book is just one of the worst books I've ever read. It is, like, there is not one good thing about it. But if I were to be, like, the bigger person, I don't know. Maybe that's a stupid way to interpret the question. But I would recommend they read anything by Thich Nhat Hanh because he's a genius and he spreads love and acceptance, and that is what my worst enemy would need. And then we have a bunch of questions from Nazanin's Life on Instagram. Thank you very much. You asked, what made you start a YouTube channel? Well, I always was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but never knew like what subject to hone in on. And at the time I started this, it was the pandemic, which I think is a lot of reason why the newer booktubers started their channels as well. And I was also just going through a really hard time personally, even without the pandemic. And I was very lonely and just looking for some sort of creative outlet. And I was already reading a ton because reading is just what I turn to, and it's a really comforting hobby for me. And I figured, well, why not turn that into another hobby and make it even more fun for myself? And I also thought that maybe I could make some friends here, which I did, and I'm very happy about that. And yeah, that's why I started my channel, and I'm very happy I did. Then she asks, what is the worst book I've ever read? Well, there are a lot. I did mention Lord of the Flies, but I won't mention that again. I recently read The Incendiaries by R.O. Kwon, which I absolutely hated. You can see my thoughts in my Enneagram blog video. It was one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. There are so many. I mean, a lot of the books I read for school, which are also in my 2 ranking video for that, were not good. Like Anthem by Ayn Rand. I hate Ayn Rand. And things like that, you know, I try not to judge books too harshly. Oh, The Snowman by Yo Nesbo. Yeah, that was a bad book. That was extremely disgusting and misogynistic. Really not good. Then she asks, what is a book I will never get tired of? If you know me, pause this video and comment down below what you think I'm gonna say. If you've watched my videos, you definitely know. It would be Ancillary Justice. Because it's just so good, and I can read it and read it and read it, and it blows my mind every single time. And it's also, like, it's just so multi-layered, and the characters are so good. And I find new things every time I read it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. Definitely my favorite sci-fi book. I love it. I can't get enough. And then the last question from Nazanin's Life is, would I rather meet my main character or live in the world of my main character? My favorite character, not my main character. I don't actually know who my favorite character is. I feel like that's weird. I think I'd have to say I'd just like to meet them once in our world instead of living forever in the world that they live in, because a lot of my favorite books are very inhospitable. If you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of conflict going on in those worlds, and they probably wouldn't be super friendly to humans like me. And, I think I'm comfortable living in this world, but I don't know, this is a hard question. Can I choose both? It depends. It depends. I don't know. It's hard. This is a good question, though. You guys should answer this as well. Please let me know in the comments what you would answer for this question. So now I'd like to talk about some of my favorite booktubers, my friends on here that have really made it such a fun part of my life and something I always look forward to doing, making videos and watching booktube. These booktubers I really recommend you check out. Some of them are a little big and some of them are quite small, and they are the booktubers that I consistently try and watch every video that they put out. I am subscribed to a lot of people, but I just don't have the time to watch everyone's videos that I'm subscribed to every single time. But these samples of my subscribers are the people that I watch the most. So I really recommend you check them out. First would have to be Noelle 7 Pages. We co-hosted Linguathon together. She reads a really great variety of books. She reads some fantasy, sci-fi, nonfiction, some historical fiction in there, just a lot of graphic novels. That's always interesting. She makes really fun vlogs too, and she's just such a fun person. And she also has this great podcast type thing where she has BookTube Happy Hour, and she talks to a new booktuber every Thursday. And it is just so much fun to watch. She's a great host, and she's one of my favorites. I really recommend you check her out. And then we have A Book Olive, who is quite a big booktuber, but I still wanted to mention her because I get so many great recommendations from her. She reads mostly nonfiction. She runs Nonfiction November. The nonfiction books she reads and reviews, her reviews are top-notch because she is actually a book reviewer as a job, and her reviews are great. I always trust her opinions. We usually agree on our nonfiction anyway, and she reads a lot of books about birds and about Russia, both of which are subjects I'm really interested in. So if you want to see more nonfiction books, definitely check her out. Then I'd really like to shout out Gloria Zaitsev-Thompson. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your middle name. I'm so sorry, but I love your videos, Gloria. She is a severely underrated booktuber. Please go subscribe to her. If you like my videos, you're gonna like her videos. She is so cool. She reads such a big variety of books, and I find that we have a very similar taste. She reads a lot of memoirs, nonfiction in general, a lot of historical fiction, some fantasy, and every time she posts a video, I get a new book to read, and she reads a lot of stuff that I've never heard of before, and I always end up liking it when I read it. So I highly, highly recommend Gloria's channel. Seriously, she needs more subscribers. She's so underrated. Then we have Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. I love Olivia's videos, and her personality is the sweetest. She's just great. She reads also a big variety. She reads a lot of fantasy, some middle grade as well, and she is so smart. Like, she has read all of Shakespeare's plays. How do you even do that? And she's so young too. She's like 21 or something. Like, oh my gosh, like, she's so cool. And she has some really, really interesting thoughts on all of the books she reads. She also makes some really cool vlogs, and she has the Read It Backwards series on her channel where she takes beloved series. She just did the Percy Jackson series and reads it from the last book to the first book and talks about it. So she is super creative, and I love her videos. Then we have Novel Serendipity. She is great. Sarah is amazing. I love her videos. She reads a lot of fantasy and a lot of fantasy romance. I don't read a lot of fantasy romance, but I do trust her recommendations, and she also reads some manga and she likes anime like I do, and Sarah is just so sweet, and she has a really great personality, so definitely check out her channel. Then we have Jess from Books Past Bedtime. I cannot make this list without mentioning her. I watch every single one of her videos, even if the genre or subject of the video I don't think I'm going to be interested in, just because I love watching Jess so much. She is so funny. I love her. She reads a really great variety, some lit fic, some science fiction, some fantasy, some historical fiction, and just a great variety of books. She has some really interesting thoughts. She reads a lot of LGBT books as well, which so do I. And honestly, she's just the best. She is seriously one of my favorites ever, and you need to check her out if you haven't already. And then we have Sappho's Library, which I think it's kind of obvious why I like her videos so much. She really has a focus on sapphic books, and I'm always looking for new sapphic books. And she also reads some other books other than that, but she has some great videos about, like, every sapphic book she's read, and she's also recently started doing some vlogs. She recently did a vlog about reading Hani and Ishi's Guide to Fake Dating, which is a new book coming out soon, and I really like her thoughts, and I think her videos are super fun to watch, so I recommend her as well. Then I'd like to shout out Slanted Spines. Her thumbnails are one of my favorites on YouTube, period. I love her thumbnail style, the oranges and yellows. It's just so bright and happy, and she is as well. I just love her channel so much. She's so enjoyable to watch, and just, she's so good. She does these really fun tag videos and vlogs, of course, and I really recommend you watch her videos. I feel like she's also kind of underrated. I love her videos so much, and you need to check her out. And then we have Stephanie's Bookish. Stephanie is so funny. She's really funny. She has an adorable cat. I love her cat so much. And she has some really great vlogs where she recently did an Asian readathon vlog and her recent reads, and I just love watching her and watching her thoughts. She reads a really wide variety of books, and also I think her thumbnail game is really good as well. And then we have Boston Reads Books. She's also quite a big booktuber, but I love her videos so much. She is one that I watch every single video she puts out. She has great vlogs. She reads a lot of horror, fantasy, a lot of LGBT books that I have never heard of, which is great to fill up my TBR. Seriously, if you don't follow Boston, you need to. She is one of the best. And then we have Tammy Tries to Read, who is the best vlogger of all time, I'm convinced. She is great. We have quite similar tastes, I think. We both like sci-fi a whole lot. She reads also a lot of translated fiction. She's so entertaining. I love her videos so much. I love watching what she is reading because I always find something new. I found Upon the Burning Throne from her, which I am hoping to read soon, and she just reads such interesting books, so if you're a sci-fi or fantasy fan, definitely check her out. Okay, I think that is it for the booktubers I wanted to shout out here. Of course, there are so many others that I watch as well. My subscribed list is public, so please feel free to check out who else I'm subscribed to. They all make wonderful videos, but I can't go over everyone here because the video would be like 3 hours long. So if you're interested in others, please check out the list of people I'm subscribed to. Thank you so much again for 1,000 subscribers. Oh my gosh, I really could not have gotten here without all of the people I just mentioned and so many others as well. And I'd like to thank my family for always being extremely supportive and always being some of the first to watch my videos. Thank you. And I am so thankful so much. I have a lot of good, I hope, good videos planned, some really fun ones that I had a lot of fun filming, and some more videos planned to film in the future. So please check out those videos when they come, and thank you so much for always watching and subscribing. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye!